Good evening, welcome back. Once again, it is In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral. My name is Ross Brierley, and we are 3 days down on Glorious Goodwood 2021 with 2 days remaining. And what a fantastic day it's been today for some top-class performances. And there wasn't a dry eye in the house as Lady Bowthorpe took the Nassau Stakes and finally grabbed that Group 1 victory after a series of luckless runs. And Alan King, although he's made his name as a jumps trainer, showed that winners at Glorious Goodwood are pretty easy. You just send 2 to group races and you win both of them with asymmetric, taking the Richmond Stakes. Elsewhere, Ottoman Emperor made the rest of the field in the Gordon Stakes look like turkeys, winning for Johnny Murter under a fantastic ride. And the final thing to say as well, as Paul Kealy shakes his head at that pun, and rightly so, off to my left, is that the star of the show at Goodwood, that wasn't a horse, of course, was the jockey William Buick. 3 wins on the day, and he is in fine fettle with some good rides tomorrow to boot. We will have a little bit of a pour through the details of today's racing, and then we'll get stuck into day 4 for Glorious Goodwood, of course, as well. This is a live and interactive show. In theory, you should be watching at home on YouTube or Facebook, or maybe even Twitter as well. So get in touch on YouTube with your comments, and we'll stick them up on the screen and see if you can pick any winners alongside our pundits. So without further ado, let's introduce those pundits. As ever, Paul Kealy to my left. Not appreciating the wordplay there, Paul. I'll stick to that. You stick to the tips.
Yeah, you stick to that. Yeah, I'll stick to the tips. Yeah, not a very good day today for the tips.
No, fair enough. Maybe we'll swap.
I had a bad day, unless Milkwood gets me out of it in a quarter of an hour's time in the Galway Hurdle. I'll be hoping for that. But, I was going to say there's nothing like a bad day to knock your confidence, but I actually fancy loads tomorrow.
Yes, Goodwood, you kind of go in expecting these days anyway, don't you?
Yeah, I have done loads of times, but I actually declared about 4 years ago that, this place was a licence to print money, and then had 4 consecutive years of absolute disasters. It hasn't been bad this week at all. And tomorrow looks like my sort of card.
It does indeed.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it.
Yeah, the races get a little bit more difficult, which is when Paul's eyes light up. From the punter to the purist at home then, Tom Segal, you love a Group 1 race. And if we had a more deserved winner than Lady Bowthorpe this afternoon, perfect ride, perfect position, and a fairly comfortable success in the end.
Yeah, easy peasy, wasn't it? Yeah, she was really good. As you say, she really deserved that. She's bashed ahead against all the best ones and finally came up trumps. I don't think it was a brilliant race, but she enjoyed the step up to 1.25 miles. James Fanshaw's filly clearly didn't run a race, even though I didn't fancy her yesterday. But the other 2 O'Briens didn't really run up to scratch either. So whether she beat a great field, I don't know, but she really deserved that. The time was a good bit slower than the handicap to start the day, which makes me think that Quada's either very good or the Nassau wasn't brilliant. So I'm sort of in between those two, but I really enjoyed it. I thought Perfect Power was so unlucky in the Richmond. I think if Paul Hannigan had that again, he'd probably win by a couple of lengths. If you watch that back, I can't believe he didn't win, but really enjoyed it. Yeah, good stuff.
And you had a nice winner in the shape of Ottoman Emperor as well. I mean, obviously that is a bit of a ledger trial. Johnny Murter was interviewed a week or so ago saying that he likes to go from 10 to 12 to 1 mile and 6. And the way that horse kicked at the furlong pole, he's got to have a chance if going for the Classic in a month or so's time.
I would think so. I mean, obviously one of the Godolphin horses is going to turn up, I would imagine. I think Hurricane Lane and Ade are light years ahead of all the others. But having said that, Wordsworth tied in with the form and he beat him quite easily, and there's plenty more to come, isn't there? He looks like he's one of those horses that only just does enough and he'll stretch out again when something comes to challenge. So yeah, he's a very legitimate candidate for the Ledger.
He is indeed Ottoman Emperor, and probably the second as well, Sir Lucan, who shot home from the back. That's our pundits for the evening then as well. But as ever, we are joined by a Coral representative and Simon Clare back in the saddle from home. Simon, how was your experience at Goodwood on day 3?
Well, I found a winner in Aswan, which I believe trumps anything Dave Stevens has managed to do in his last 7 appearances on this show, which I was quite pleased with. But
I'm sure you didn't let him know at all, Simon.
And I think so that was a good win. I thought it was a good day. I mean, Ottoman Empire, well done, Tom, for finding that horse. We initially quoted him at 12s for the St. Ledger. but he was backed actually after that. He's now into 10s. I think he's even shorter elsewhere. Definitely going to run the race. Johnny Murtagh said that after the race. There was also an interview with Charlie Appleby where he confirmed that Hurricane Lane will go for the Ledger. He's 5-4 favourite, and Adayar will go for the Niel and then the Arc de Triomphe. So that seems to be the route plotted. So whatever runs in the Ledger is going to have to face up against a really talented Godolphin horse. I think it was yesterday you said actually that the record of beaten horses in the Gordon Stakes is actually almost better in the Legend than winners. And the way all the horses finished, like Sir Luke and Wordsworth, Youth Spirit, there's every chance that they could all pitch up at Doncaster as well, given their sort of staying on performances today. So it could be quite a deep field behind Hurricane Lane, which would be what we'd like. Just a quick shout out for beaten by a length. In that Richmond Stakes, they're actually the second, third, and fourth were all beaten less than a length. So our beaten by a length offer at Coral, if you backed any of those three horses, Coonan, Gubas and Ebro River, you'll get your money back up to £10, or you will have got your money back as a free bet up to £10 for finishing within a length.
That would have worked for the Nursery as well, pretty much as well, wasn't it? Simon Blanket finishing that one as well.
Exactly, yeah. Funny enough, I didn't check that. I'll have a look now. But yes, I sort of went for the Group 2, the quality race. But no, so yeah, listen, it was a really good day. Really enjoyed it. Hoping to find a couple more winners for myself and probably follow a couple of Paul's and Tom's to boot tomorrow.
Yeah, although for the 2-year-old races, beaten by 4 lengths, I'd like a refund, please, at the very least. I have learned my lesson and we're staying away from the juvenile contests. Another talking about the juvenile contest, of course, asymmetric, the winner, that's 3 from 4 now.
I've just rewatched that because after what Tom said, because I thought asymmetric won easily. I thought actually won pulling up.
Perfect Power probably would have been second.
Probably would have been second, but I have a feeling that asymmetric is one of these that pulls himself up, because you see the jockey actually gives him a smack as he passes the line. It's almost like just stay awake, but he actually quickened up and went through. And
he's got that kind of that real burst of speed, but you get the feeling when he hits the front, he kind of goes, that's me done.
Yeah. Alan King's ace, isn't he? Last year he had 3 runners at Royal Ascot. They all won. He's now 2 from 2 at Goodwood. You know what I mean?
I was going to say he should have more flat horse at the big meetings, but
he's going to. I mean, it'd be no surprise if he, a few years down the line, he'll do the David Ellsworth and just drop jumps altogether, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? You wouldn't be at all surprised about that. No, certainly knows what he's doing on the flat anyway.
And Tom, just to come to you for the juvenile form again, banging your head against a brick wall with it, but it keeps throwing up different angles and storylines, and the right racers are getting the right form boosts.
Yeah, they are, but they're all finishing above, all over each other, aren't they? I mean, we saw that with Angel Blur and Berkshire Shadow. We see it today with the Richmond. Armour was the standout for me. Clearly the best 2-year-old to run at Goodwood, I thought, this week, and it wasn't even close. But I think we're waiting for the Kingmans and the Galileos and the properly bred classic types to come out, and they'll smash this lot up, in my opinion. I don't think the standard's that great at the moment. I think come the Champagne Stakes at Doncaster and the National Stakes and the Dewhurst, we'll see a totally different cast, really. But you can do no more than win. And Asymmetric is a thoroughly likeable horse, isn't he? He's 3 from 4 now, and he probably should be 4 from 4, if truth be told.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So we will move on to day 4 then. But first, like I said, it is live and interactive. And if you send more comments in, like Tom Leach, you're more likely to get your comment on the screen, I think. Tom Leach, plenty of winners in these shows. Pure gold. Well, thank you very much, Tom. Let's continue with the gold, and hopefully we won't drop that standard as we go into the penultimate day.
Pressure's on now.
The pressure is on, that's it. Or Tom Leach.
Is Jesus going to be on?
We can only hope so. But
He said he was going to come back, but I don't think we've got 2,000 years.
No, he's going to take a long weekend, he says, and then see how it goes on the Sunday. But we've keep getting in touch, whether you are a biblical figure or not. That is the answer for you tonight. But yeah, thank you, Tom Leach, for getting in touch, and thank you to everyone else for watching at home. Like I said, the views have been great, the comments have been great, so keep them coming, and subscribe to the stream as well. First race of the day tomorrow, 150 at Goodwood. We have a handicap here over 2.5 miles. It's a classically Goodwood race, and Elysian Flame has a typically competitive race. 13-2 for the Easterbees. Platform 19, 7-1. The Grand Vizier 8-1, 9-1 Just Hubert, 10-1 Smart Champion, 11-1 Withhold, 12-1 Calling the Wind, 14-1 Coeur de Lion, who does represent the aforementioned Alan King, and it is bigger prices the rest. So 2.5 miles here. Clearly, there are a whole host of horses in this race, Paul, that have had their entire summer targeted around this contest.
Well, yeah, well, that and the Queen Alexandra, something like that. You know, horses that run, these are specialist races, aren't they? First things first, though, weather.
Yep.
It's been drying up lovely.
It has.
And this morning the Met Office named a Storm Everett, which is coming in from the west. And according to the Met Office, there is some rain forecast every hour between midnight and 5 p.m.
Oh, good. That's exactly what we need.
And again, it's one of those. It'll come in the form of showers, and we don't know how heavy, whether they'll hit or not. It seems the heaviest is going to be in the early hours, so we will know by the morning. But you know, if you're worried about a horse wanting the ground to dry out a little bit more, I would definitely wait. But anyway, I'm going into this with the thought that it will have softened up again. And just looking at it, I think the conditions are going to be remarkably similar to what they were on the day of the Queen Alexandra.
Yep.
And there were two horses there that ran way above their station, around horses rated much higher than. Calling the Wind was second, Green Book was fifth. Now, Calling the Wind split horses rated 112 and 107. He's actually he's been raised just £3 for that. I mean, you have to take these races with a little bit of a pinch of salt, don't you? Because they're extreme trips. But that's what the handicap has done, because he's only raised him £3, and they were running off levels. He's basically the same price as the Grand Vizier, and he's actually £10 better off, and the Grand Vizier was third. He has run two of his best races when he stepped up to 2 mile or more. They were both at Ascot. Slight worry that he's an Ascot horse, but he might not be. And he does have some other good turf form elsewhere. He could just be very well handicapped. And the same goes for Green Book. He was fifth. He was only raised £2. He was only rated 86 at the time. And you've got to remember, it was 112, I think, Stratum, the winner was. You know, he was only beaten 8 lengths. He won the Chester Cup Consolation by an absolute street in May on easy ground, 2 mile, 2 furlongs. Venetia Williams but Andrea at Zany. Next time out at Haydock, he either just didn't like the absolutely bottomless ground. I think the winning time was 27 seconds slower than standard, which is, you know, jumps ground basically. And it might have come too soon anyway, because it was only a couple of weeks. But that fifth again in the Queen Alexandra, it suggests that, you know, he's a well handicapped horse on the mark of 88. So that they would be my two against the field.
Okay, the Royal Ascot form then being followed by Paul there in the shape of Green Book and also Calling the Wind. 12-1 Calling the Wind. What price Green Book, Simon?
14-1 Green Book.
14-1, and if there's anything a bookie likes more than a Green Book, I don't know what it is. But we'll go over to you for the thoughts of your opening race here, Tom, as well. 2.5 miles, the distance for this handicap. Are you following the Ascot form, or are you looking for a few others maybe slightly further down the handicap, maybe under the radar?
Well, I'm hoping my friend Keels has given up on Frankel, Mr. Frankel, or whatever he was called in the first race, because I've finally given up on Just Hubert, because I think I've backed him every single time he's run, apart from when he won this race last year. And I've given up on this year. I've given him up again, and I suppose he'll probably go in again. So I am just desperate for Just Hubert not to win, because that'll be the throw off the top of the cliff moment for me. But I do like Smart Champion down the bottom,
I've given up on him, so you could be
right.
right.
Given up on him?
There we go.
I thought he had a chance.
Oh, he definitely has a chance. I
thought last year he was third, wasn't he, off a £5 higher mark? He's got Safi Osborne, so he's about £9 better off with all those. He's been third or fourth in an Ascot Stakes. I'm sure this would have been the plan. I just thought from down the bottom he might go well. But the one I liked was Keels' one, Calling the Wind, really. Couldn't quite work out why he was the prize. I thought he was going to be near enough favourite for this after on the back of his Ascot run. He came there cantering, looked like he was going to win. Got beaten by a group horse in Stratum. He beat the rest. He beat the rest comfortably, and I can't work out why that was a fluke. It didn't look like a fluke to me. If you go back to his handicapping days, he ran really well at Newbury. That's why I don't worry about the Ascot form. He ran a cracker. He was just behind. He was fourth in a really good race won by Humanitarian. He had Scarlet Dragon 5 lengths behind him. I just think he's a well-handicapped horse. And he's only gone up £3. So he was my first choice, but I've got to throw in Smart Champion as well. Obviously, you can make a case for loads with Old and the boys, and loads of others. But those were my two in a race that I have had horses unseat. I've had horses miss the break. I've had horses miss the start. I've had everything go wrong in this race. So hopefully, I'm hoping for a change of luck, because back in the day, I did find a few winners of it. So I'm hoping that one of those two are the ones.
And where do you want to be drawn, Paul?
Very good. No draw.
Just checking.
No draw. Flag start. Don't forget, we've got 2 horses here trained by Alan King as well. Coeur de Leon, Who Dares wins.
So we can't keep that 100% strike rate.
Exactly. Both got good chances on there. Who Dares wins is quite an eye-catcher. Beaten a fair way in the end in the Chester Cup, but ran no race whatsoever in the Queen Alexandra. And Coeur de Leon's just a consistent, handicapper. Who has, he's obviously a Royal Ascot winner, and he has run well in races this season. So they're another 2 with a chance as well.
Yes, Who Dares wins and Coeur de Leon. And I know you've given up on him, Tom, but surely this is the target for Just Hubert. What a handicapping job they've done on him. They've got him a pound lower than last year. He's finished first and second in staying events here at the track. He handles the likely softer going as well. I know you've given up on him, but I think you might have jumped ship too soon.
Don't. I'm going to have to back him again now, aren't I? And the feel is coming straight to you.
That's fair enough. Well, we've got a couple of social comments in here. Tom Williams says jumps trainers have a fine record in this. Even Nigel Twiston Davies won it a few years ago. They do indeed. Obviously, they do have plenty of horses who mix the codes, and the Ascot and Goodwood races do tend to set up for those. Kieran Catterson's got in touch, says Green Book looks very interesting on Ascot run over further, a lightweight to carry, and this shorter trip will suit. Good each way bet. So Kieran Catterson is very much agreeing with Paul Kealy. So a few opinions on this opener at Goodwood, 2.5 miles. Like I said, it's going to be a real slog at Goodwood in theory if that rain comes. Simon, what have you got for us place terms wise, and has anything been nibbled overnight?
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 places, as you'd expect for such a competitive race. It's a race that's thrown up some big price winners in the last 10 years, 33 to 1 chance, 225 to 1 chances. So I've sort of been hunting around at big prices to see if there's something to have a bit of fun with at a big price. I thought Cleonte, maybe, he's just dropped to such a fantastic mark. He actually won off 87 back at Kempton earlier this season. I didn't think he ran that badly in the Northumberland Plate, which was a bit of almost like a sprint finish. There was a big blanket of them, and he was on the far side. And off this mark, he definitely stays. The team's in fantastic form, Andrew Balding's yard. So I just thought, he could pop up at a big price, in a staying contest. Obviously, second to Stradivarius in the Doncaster Cup 2 years ago and won the Queen Alexandra. So it's a bit of an act of faith. He might recapture a bit of that form, but off the mark he might. I thought Just Hubert was the other one. I just looked at his profile, running off pretty much the same mark. Last year, before he won this, he was 11th in the Northumberland Plate and then 7th in that Marsh Cup at Newbury. This year, not quite so good. 14th in the Northumberland Plate, 9th in the Marsh Cup, but pretty much the same pathway. And as you say, been well handicapped. So those are the 2 for me. But good competitive race. Been money typically for the horses that the boys have tipped up. They're Calling the Wind, Green Book, and Smart Champion. And it's 7 to 1 the field. Great race to start with.
It is indeed. And if you find that we're the first at these prices, it might be best to take the rest of the afternoon off, because the card certainly doesn't get much easier. So that's the 150 at Goodwood, then the opening staying at Handicap. Let's move on to the second race on the card tomorrow, the 225. Very different type of animal taking their chance here for the Thoroughbred Stakes. Group 3 over a mile, but a very short price favourite. And we haven't had too many short price favourites at Goodwood this week, but I'm sure a lot of people are very excited about the potential of Baid, who is 4 to 6 here for this Thoroughbred Stakes. 3 from 3 so far for Haggis and Crowley. El Drama 6 to 1, 10 to 1 Tasman Bay, 11 to 1 Perotto, Khartoum and Rhythm Master, 14s is Tactical, and 40 to 1 Passion Over. So if you do think the favourite's a little bit underpriced, there are a whole host of nice price each way alternatives. I'm going to come to you, Simon, actually first for this, because of course Jim Crowley, ambassador for Coral, and he's got an odds-on shot here. He's had a mixed week, I'd say. I guess most jockeys have mixed weeks, don't they, at Goodwood? But surely this is his best chance by quite some considerable margin.
Yeah, and it's a big day for him with Batash as well, and obviously he's he's got Maidani as well, so he's got some good rides today. Also tomorrow. But Baid, I think it's a full brother to Hookham. It's 1-3 from 3. He loves the horse. He's really excited about riding it. You can read his Coral blog where he sort of waxes lyrical. Whereas he's hopeful on Batash, and we'll come to that. He's really bullish about Baid and is expecting him to win. He's no great price, 4 to 6. He's got to be El Drama, who was 4th in the Coral Eclipse. Loads of the horses today, actually. I'll name drop a few of the races from Coral Eclipse today have come out of Sandown at the start of July, which is good news for the Coral sponsorship. But I think he should win, shouldn't he? I mean, he hammered Maximal convincingly, and El Drama's got a victory over Maximal in the D Stakes, but nowhere near as impressive as Bide. So I'd be hoping that Bide would probably win. It wouldn't be a great result for the book, but for Jim Crowley, our Coral Ambassador, it'd be good for him. I think he's had 3 seconds. That run on Zayard, I'm sure he's thrilled with, though he would have preferred to have won. But tomorrow could be his day.
Yeah, Bide then 4-6. To the purist, Tom, how good is Bide so far, and how good do you think he could be?
He's looked very good. I'm not sure the figures back up his reputation quite yet, but he's acted on soft ground. He's acted on fast ground. His reputation probably exceeds a little bit what he's done, but he has the potential to be a top class horse. So I fully get his 4-6. The only negative I would have if there was lots of rain, because you see the stars out of a King Mambo mare. I know he won on softish ground at Newmarket on his second start, but that would be the only worry. I think he'll win. If the rain does come, I think Perotto, who likes the race, and the Britannia form was given another boost today. He could go well. I think you can forget his last run. And also Tasman Bay, interesting. So Mark Todd should be out in the Olympics, but dropped his horse back at 4 furlongs. I thought that was quite interesting because he seemed to stay really well behind Alan Kerr the other day. But if it got really soft, I could see him running well. But I do think Baid will probably win this. Yeah,
Tasman Bay might be a little bit underrated if Baid's overrated in the market. You know, he's running into some good horses, Alan Kerr and Hurricane Lane, and he appears to be getting better and better with every run. He could be the pace angle to the race, of course, as well. You also mentioned Perotto there, your old friend Perotto, who did you a turn at Royal Ascot. He is, I know he won at Ascot, but he's a proper Goodwood horse.
Yeah, I mean, they're all much of a muchness outside of Baid, don't we? I mean, I think Baid will win if he runs, but trainer has said he is not 100% keen on running him if they get a lot of rain. Okay. So I wouldn't be in a mad rush to back him, and it's wide open if he does pull out. I mean, William Haggards pulled a horse out of Derby because he thought the ground was too soft, and it was basically good at Epsom, wasn't it? So
he's a man of his word.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So he could well take him out. And Rhythm Master's very interesting. He was 4th in the Jersey Stakes, and he looked like he was. It was just too sharp for him, and I think another furlong. And obviously, he will want the rain as well. Like, you know what I mean. So if I was going to have a bet, I wouldn't have an each way bet now as well, because it kills the race if one of them comes out. It's a dead 8, and we're going to get rain. So you will not be remotely surprised. And I managed to say all of that and perfectly concentrate, even though the fact that Milkwood has just been chinned by Saldier in the Galway hurdle. Absolutely devastated. Saldier of all horses.
Who knew? I mean, who knew that Paul Kealy could multitask like that? That was incredible. Unlucky. Hopefully.
Mind you, no, it wasn't unlucky. He actually won pretty well, didn't he? But there you go.
What wins the Thoroughbred Stakes, then?
What race is that? Rhythm Master. Rhythm Master if Baid doesn't run.
Yeah, Rhythm Master, he's one of a few horses this week, alcohol-free, I would put into it, Lady Bowthorpe, who on pedigree doesn't look like it will appreciate this step up into it whatsoever, but on run style, and obviously those two went to win their biggest races this week. So, again, you look through pedigrees and on pages, and it doesn't always work out like that. Rhythm Master, of course, was Group 1 place behind Campanelle last season as a juvenile. Gengi 26 has got in touch. If Tom kept his head still, I'd be able to watch the reflection of the Galway hurdle in his specs. Yeah, that's the... I've got a lovely...
I was trying my best. I was trying my best to be professional, but I couldn't manage it.
No, we've got a lovely camera obscura effect going on with your glasses there. It's fantastic stuff. No Pataya for Shannon's got in touch. Tasman Bay for ex-Olympian Sir Mark Todd would be a fitting victor. Yes, it would indeed. And it definitely has the form in the book to give Baid a bit of a run for his money. And that's the question for this, isn't it, Tom? You've got basically...
He's not going to be anywhere near as fast as Baid, is he? I mean, the sectionals that Baid did at Newmarket in the last couple of furlongs were out of this world by all accounts. So,
is there a possibility though he stays significantly further? He could get an easy time.
Yeah, he could be. He's going to get done for speed, isn't he? He's not going to have that sort of speed.
If it got really, if they had 20 mils and it turned heavy.
Yeah, if they had 20 mils, you'd take him out, won't he? Won't even be an issue. He just won't run.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's the thing.
Okay, so how are we playing the Thoroughbred Stakes, Tom?
We're not.
So it's a watching brief then for you.
Yeah. I mean, I want Baid to win. I want to see a really good horse. I won't. As you say, there's a dead 8, so you can play the each way card, but I won't be.
Okay, and will you be, Paul?
I'll wait and see. but Rhythm Master was the one that I was most interested out of the others.
Yeah, okay. Rhythm Master then, who is currently an 11-1 shot. There's also Khartoum, who was chinned on the line last time, added a good race, and El Drama, of course, who's dropping back in trip after that more than creditable run in the Eclipse. So it's a tricky race to work out right now. Dead 8, odds on shot, might not run, but we do have a few darts to throw. And again, whether the favourite goes, Simon, is a huge factor in how you guys are going to play this race, because it could be a really bad each-way race, or it could cut up completely.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Exactly. I think, Paul's actually right. You've got to watch the weather. I had a quick look at the forecast actually after you mentioned it. It does look fairly certain there's going to be rain. It's a question of how much, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, I think, as I say, it probably isn't a huge better. It'll probably become a better betting race in some ways if I didn't run, because it would be quite competitive if he came out. But I'm hoping he runs, hoping he wins, partly because I'm tipping him, and that means I'll get another tip winner tomorrow, which would be beating Dave Stevens yet again, whatever, which would be good.
They'll never come back.
Never come back.
By then 4-6 for the Thoroughbred Stakes there for that 225 at Goodwood. Moving on, we've got another mile race here, but a very different lineup and a very different shape to the Golden Mile. Of course, a notoriously tricky handicap in theory, although most people just rule out anything drawn over 5 and back those drawn in single figures, because it is a big stats race for the inside draws. I think it's 2, 3, 3, 3, 1, the draws of the past 5 years. So if you trap wide in the Golden Mile, you do have a bit of a nightmare. And it's unsurprising that a well-drawn horse heads the betting here, and that is Path of Thunder at 100-30 for Charlie Appleby and William Buick, who is riding the track incredibly well. 5-1 Magical Morning, 13-2 May Danny, Johan is 15-2, 9-1 Ross Colin, 12-1 Carder, and 14-1 and Bigger the Rest. And you have to go all the way down to you've got Magical Morning and Acquitted, who are the only two fancied horses who are in double-figure stalls. So you love races like this, Paul, but how important is that inside draw?
Well,
is it overstated, or is it absolutely
over
key?
the years, it's been a massive draw race, isn't it? I mean, I think something like 32 of the last 40 horses to finish in the first 4 were all in single figures. So it is, it is that sort of race. The last 5 winners all came from stalls 1, 2, or 3. And of course, the best handicapped horse in the race has got stall 3, Path of Thunder. Only problem worked, a couple of problems with him. One, it was first time blinkers last time, and they've got to work again. He did win incredibly easily, though. He's £5 well in under a £3 penalty. That was fast ground. Will he handle it if it gets really soft? He's got a heavy defeat to his name in the Britannia last year, but that was after a year off, so you're not 100% sure. There's no, by Night of Thunder, there's no reason why he won't go on it. I just won, my biggest issue with him is Tom's ruined the price already. Like, you know what I mean? Because he's only 3-1 now. You know what I mean? And I tell you, who won the race last year? David O'Mara won the race last year. He's got 5 runners, a quarter of the field. Every single one of them got a single figure stall, which is quite amazing, really, isn't it? So he's got to have a serious shot again. And I've backed a couple of his each way. I've passed over Ross Colin, which I may well regret, because that's the one that's really progressive. But Chalier has trap 1, and he's been running at the top of his form in smaller fields, but he's got big field form as well. He's a prominent racer, so he'd be able to take advantage of his stall's position. And, he was third in a really decent handicap to Johan last year on Good to Soft, and he was third to Uzo in a mile handicap at York, 20 runners, so he's got big field form as well on soft. That was soft ground. I think he's got a big price. And Hortzadar was third in the Lincoln earlier this season. He's run a couple of, he won a particularly bad race last time, but that was 7 furlong on fast ground. 7 furlong ain't fast enough, and fast ground isn't really what he wants. And he's run several really nice races for Sean Curran, who claims £5, including that third in the Lincoln. But last year he won at Ripon under him, and he was third. He was third under him as well.
He's also won his only start.
Yeah, and he's also won his only starting at the track, albeit 5-runner race.
Field,
you know what I mean. But yeah, he's obviously got big field form as well. So they were my 2 against the field at big prices with extra places on offer. Are there extra places on offer, Simon? Yes, there is. A 5th place.
5 places.
There you go. So back 2 horses at double figure odds with a good draw. and form in the book to make them competitive.
Okay, yeah, of course, David O'Mara won this with Prompting last year, who came into it off the back of a win and had a £3 penalty and looked a progressive horse. Pretty much exactly the same comments can be applied to Path of Thunder here, Tom. And time and time again, you come on and you say, oh, I really fancied this horse at 5 or 6 to 1. But as Paul's reminded me, sometimes it's your fault that it's 100 to 30, of course, because you put it up at 6 to 1 on the website, and I guess you fancy Path of Thunder then.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, you can't not fancy it, can you? Keels has outlined his dance. You know, he's £5 well in. He's got one of the best draws. He's trained by the best trainer in Europe, I think. He's ridden by probably the best jockey in the country. What more do you want? As you say, it's Goodwood. There's plenty of pace in the high numbers. That's the thing that scares me. I wonder whether there's going to be an absolute sort of carnage up the rail. The one thing I think about this race is it's not only the draw's important, it's the fact that they bring the rail down and they've all got that fresh ground to run on from the low numbers. And then all of a sudden, all those ones drawn out high are stuck out in the swamp. And not only are they disadvantaged by the draw, they got the worst ground as well. So, you've got to go low. I fully understand Keels' goes at those David O'Meara horses. I specifically liked Hawksadar. I thought the Lincoln was a really, really strong race this year. You know, you had Hakiki won it, and he ran really well in the Summer Mile Group 2. Brunch won a listed race, who was second. You had Grove Ferry back in the field that was third in the Hunt Cup. I mean, that is seriously good form. He repeats that level of form, he's got a massive chance. It's just as Keels pointed out, it was the bad run last time. But if you can forgive that, then he's got a great chance. The other one, I thought Johan had to have a chance. He's just a solid horse, drawn trap 2. Thought he might be a bit too big, really. William Haggis has always runs a nice one in this. I think he won it with the Queen's horse a few years ago. He'd have a chance. And Ross Golin. I just thought he's just the type of horse that progressive, up-and-coming horse that really goes well in this type of race. Absolutely bolted up at the track, didn't he, at the start of the season? A bit higher in the handicap now, but can be argued that his best race is the one at Pontefract on Sunday. Pontefract form, there we go. Can't help but
that's all it takes, isn't it? I mean, Pontefract, which is the other way around, is significantly stiffer. I mean, it's such a different track, isn't it, Tom? But apparently, it's the perfect angle for Goodwood winners.
And we must mention Kedar. I don't know if anyone's heard whether it's running or not, but that time today was sensational. I mean, that was a real proper group class time he ran today. He looked like a group horse. He was second in the Coventry last year. If he's back, I know it's back in trip a bit, but if he runs from trap 7, I think he's got a good chance too. I mean, that was seriously impressive today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Mark Johnson has done this before, hasn't he? Run a horse twice in the week at Glorious Goodwood over the years.
Loads of times he's done it.
Loads of times.
Albeit, again, if the rain does come, that could scupper his chances, because his best form does come on slightly quicker ground. But yeah, he's in the mix. Jesus, Path of Thunder bolts up. He is reading the Bible according to Tom Segal.
Jesus, keep on Hawksadar and Shalir and those Keels' ones. Get off Marty.
Yes, he's not had a great week, to be fair. But other ones to throw in as well. Of course, May Danny, who skipped it earlier in the week because of the ground, although that might go again. And we've got to mention Johan as well. I've backed this horse pretty much, I think, every time he runs, because he just has a really consistent run style. He runs the same race pretty much every single time.
Trainer has always said he doesn't want soft ground as well.
Yeah,
so I don't know whether that's actually correct, because it wasn't fast ground when he won at Salisbury, and obviously Migration was behind him then.
You know where he's going to. He's got a low draw. You know where he's going to be. He's always on the speed.
I mean, we've got the potential for non-runners, haven't we? So Magical Morning Stall 11 could become 8, couldn't it? Easily, you know what I mean. So it might, it might give him more of a chance. And he was pretty impressive at Sandown, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he looks like I said, he was given a tender time at Ascot on his reappearance. He strikes me as a horse who's still very well handicapped, although he has run poorly here in the past. So, as you would expect, the Golden Mile is pretty wide open, but that draw is key. And of course, the rain might well be key as well. And Path of Thunder, 100 to 30. Tom, your tip then, Path of Thunder. And do you have a next best, maybe at a bigger price for anyone who missed the odds?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Keels. I think Hortsadar is definitely potentially well handicapped on the Lincoln form, and he would be my one at around 20 to 1.
Okay, and Paul, just reiterate your two.
Hortsadar and Chalier are the two I've backed.
Okay, and Ross Brierley I thought was very interesting. I know we've mentioned the other O'Mara horses, but this horse ran a cracker in a listed race last time out over at Pontefract, as we've already mentioned, and soft ground at Goodwood has already proven to be right up his street. Simon, what did you make of this Golden Mile? Of course, another race that, if that forecast is right, could well be a slightly less competitive one. But tell us what you've got up your sleeve for the Golden Mile.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 5 places, obviously reflects the fact it's a very competitive race. I mean, terrific betting market. Loads of people playing. Some of these horses, Path of Thunder, obviously been well backed following Tom's tip. There is money for the likes of Johan, Roscolin, Hortsadar, bits for Kaydar. The horse has taken a walk. Magical Morning drifting out. He was favourite earlier today. He's taken a walk despite winning the Coral Challenge, that very competitive handicap on Coral Fits Day. And Meidani, again, he finished second that day, carrying overweight. Much better off with Magical Morning tomorrow. But the fact he missed the race on Tuesday because of the ground and with the rain forecast, you suspect there's a chance he might not run, even though he's just as effective over a mile. So one angle, actually, that our first price boost, the Inno price boost, is around Path of Thunder. And we priced up Path of Thunder at 13 to 2 to win by over a length. He's now 15 to 2 as a boosted special. But that was probably priced around, to some extent, his price an hour or so ago. So if you want to back Path of Thunder to win by more than a length, he is a 15 to 2 chance. That's the Inno special.
Okay, so if you back Path of Thunder to win by more than a length and he gets beaten by less than a length, do you get your money back?
I don't think being by a length applies to the Inno special, sadly.
Right. Okay, that's a shame because there's probably a scenario there where I was going to say, well, the punters win and the bookies definitely lose. Get your money back. But okay, that is the Golden Mile then at Goodwood. Follow up that 3 o'clock contest, wide open handicap. Keep an eye on the weather. That's the 3 o'clock. We are down in trip significantly for the feature race of the penultimate day of Glorious Goodwood, and that is, of course, the King George Qatar Stakes, a 5 furlong Group 2, albeit this is practically a Group 1. With the quality of the animals lining up. What wins the King George Qatar Stakes? Our social poll on the YouTube site. Dragon Symbol, 45% of viewers here. Batage, 36%. Art Power, 12%. And 5% any other horse here. So punters at home going with Dragon Symbol over Batage. Again, coming to you. You are the group race man, Tom. 5 furlongs, maybe not necessarily your ideal trip. You're a bit more of a middle distance animal, I'd say, these days. And Batage is 13 to 8 favourite. But this is, like I said, it's a Group 2, but it's not really, is it?
No, it's an absolute cracking race. Now, I want to know what Mr. Jim Crowley says about Batage, because I want to take him on. What's he saying, Si? Is he very confident or mildly confident or neither? No,
I think it's a good question. If you read the blog, he's very hopeful, but he's not confident. And I think that's the point. I think he felt that at Ascot, he ran very fresh. Obviously, it was first time out. He has had that injury in the pin, and he got tired. And it's a stiff 5 at Ascot, where he's not probably always. I mean, he ran into Blue Point a couple of times, didn't he? He managed to win last year. So I think he's confident that he'll step up from that. But his point was, and I'm sure you'll make it yourself, is that this looks a much stronger race than certainly the last 3 runnings that he's won, with Dragon Symbol and Art Power in the field, as well as the usual crowd of sprinters that he's raced against before. So I think he's worth taking on. Jim is not bullish at all.
Okay, so you want to take him on, Tom. What do you want to take him on with?
Well, there's 2 possibilities. I thought obviously Dragon Symbol's got to have a very good chance, hasn't he? The moral winner of the Commonwealth Cup, I thought. Can't see. I mean, the way he dispatched significantly in Hamilton, I know these are different class horses, but significantly he's a decent horse, and he gave him loads of weight and would have beaten him over 3 furlongs, let alone 5. Don't think the drop back to 5 will have a problem. But if the rain comes, then Art Power's very, very interesting, surely, as well. Thought he ran a cracker in the July Cup, was it? I can't remember. I'm going mad.
July Cup, yeah,
I'm getting old. But I thought he ran an absolute blinder in that race. I think the drop back to 5 is no problem for him, and I think they might just sit him in behind Batage and pick him up late on slightly concerned that he's in stall 1. I would much prefer to be nearer the stands rail, I think. I think the going stick says that the stands rail's quicker, but he has Batash in 3, so he's going to get the run of the race anyway. My 2 would be Dragon. No, it's boring, but I think the 2 of them stand out against the rest. The French filly, Suesa, has questions to answer now after a run in the Commonwealth Cup. I think the less rain there is, the more she comes into it. But once again, she's back to the minimum 5 against proper speedsters. So I think Dragon Symbol might win simply because of where he's drawn. But I would be very scared of Art Power.
Okay, Dragon Symbol is a 3-1 shot here. Social comments. Matt Gardiner. Dragon Symbol is my nap of the whole meeting. Form behind Starman should be good enough against an ageing Batash. That's from Matt Gardiner then. Just pick up a couple of things you said there, Tom. One of them was about Suesa. Again, I don't think too many people mention the Commonwealth Cup, the draw angle. You know, the first 4 home were 18, 14, 16 and 21. The 5th was 30, drawn 13, Law of Indices, who was all over the shop and has won a Group 1 since. Drawn 1 was Moon Easter, who won a listed race next time out. Drawn 7 was Happy Romance, who's won since. You know, so there's a possibility that Suesa in 8, travelling very well on bad ground on a stiff track, just didn't necessarily get home in the wrong part of the track. So she's gone from 9-4 in the Commonwealth Cup to 11-1 here in the King George. But the other thing to throw to you, Paul, was we keep saying it this week, 5 furlongs. Where do you want to be drawn? High down this near side rail?
Well, yeah, I mean, it has looked like that, but I mean, it's not 100% certain, is it? I mean, obviously, Asymmetric came through rivals, but the one on the outside that Tom says would have won, that was further out, wasn't it?
That was over 6, though. So we've seen When the Dealing's Done, we've seen Armour 5, we've seen the...
Yeah, I mean, I think what you get is when you get in the middle, if you can get on the rail and there's only a couple on it, you can get a bit of a clear run, can't you? And there's a bit of trouble further out, and it might, you know, I mean, but
if
Batash makes the running, if Art Power makes the running, they've got the pace to get across, you know, nearer to the rail. They don't have to come all the way anyway. And we were talking about the draw from Royal Ascot and other races. Art Power won his side of the Golden Jubilee by a street. He basically effectively raced nearly on his own in the July Cup, was still in front, 100 yards out, and was only a short head and a neck behind. And I think he probably wants soft ground. He's just a very good, versatile horse. He was 11-4 second favourite behind Batash in the Nunthorpe last year, but he was a 3-year-old. It was his second ever run in group company. And it was on quick ground.
It was an impossible task.
It was just a real big arse at that stage of his career. And I think, judging by what he's done on those last 2 starts, how fast he's gone, he's become a quicker horse. I can't see how you can possibly kick him out of 3, and I really fancy him.
I mean, if he's better on soft ground, he posted a career best last time on fast, on his own, over 6 on the far side. So if he is better on the soft...
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was well in front. I know it's very hard to tell, but he looked like he was well in front at one stage, didn't he? And he was certainly in front entering the last furlong. So I think he's got a massive chance. And I think the ground is a definite plus for him. And you know, it does depend on Batash, because we've got to remember that was his first run. He'd been injured. He was in late. He lasted a lot longer than every other horse that set that ridiculous pace.
I mean, Oxted came from about 10.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, Oxted looked like 100-1 shot after 2 furlongs, didn't he? And Batash was there cruising along, going, you know. And of course, he's won this race 4 times, and people forget. Talking about worried about maybe if the ground gets soft. I mean, he's run on soft ground twice in his life. He absolutely bolted up in this race in 2017. That's when he announced himself as an absolute superstar. And then next time out, he won the Abbey by 4 lengths on soft ground. So the ground isn't an issue for him either. There's every chance he's as good as he is. He's the one to beat, and I just hope that Art Power is good enough to do it.
Okay, Art Power then is a 6-1 shot, and I've got that Dragon Symbol defeated Ascot still pains me now. But you've got Ornate to chase down this near side. Like I said, I do think this near side is potentially favoured. If Batash and Art Power are in the wrong part of the track, down the middle, like I said, we've seen Armour, we've seen When the Dealing's Done, we saw Illustrating win from a highest draw earlier on this week as well. So everything has come down this near side rail over this trip. So I agree with, I can't remember his name, but the guy who got in touch earlier on saying, Matt Gardiner, there we go. Matt, I am with you on Dragon Symbol. And
you're going to put up Arecibo then.
No, I mean, we know what Arecibo's going to be doing, don't we? And fair play to him, running on to possibly grab another spot in the frame. Simon, what have you got for us here? Any price boosts, any extra places, or any strong opinions?
Well, I'm really hoping. I'd love to see Battash win again. Obviously, with the connection with Jim Crowley, but to win 5, King George would be amazing. He's amazing just looking at his draw. He's drawn 3, but his last 4 wins, he was drawn 4, 5, 1, and 1. So he's always managed to pick up that same draw. He does act on the soft ground. It's a perfect trip. Speedy 5 for him. So unless there's loads of rain tomorrow, I don't think it'll pose a problem for him. So I'm still hopeful he'll win. He's 13-8 drifting. Dragon Symbol shortening now 3-1 from 100 to 30. I don't think he's faced a field like this since the first year he won. He beat Profitable and Master as a 3-year-old. They were quite highly rated sprinters, but it's in the last 3 runnings he hasn't faced any quite as progressive and highly rated as Dragon Symbol and certainly Art Power. So it's going to be a tough race. But if he wins, we saw with Lady Bowthorpe the sort of reaction she got. I think it'd be similar, obviously, tomorrow with Battash. In terms of in those specials, we've got Battash and Baid both to win by over a length. Is 8-1 special double in the no special. If you think both Baid and Battash will win by over a length. And we have got a Jim Crowley special. 2, actually. I'll run through them very quickly. To ride 3 or more winners, he's got Battash, Maidani, Baid. He's also got Jadlan and Margaret Dumont in the first. To ride 3 or more winners, he's a 12-1 chance. But I think the better, more exciting special is a super smart boost we have, which you can find on the website, which is Jim Crowley to ride 2 or more winners, which was 5-4. It's now 2-1. So a real tick up there on the 2 or more winners for Jim Crowley. Ride 2 or more winners. That'd be great for our Coral Ambassador if we could do that.
Okay, he does have a good book of rides on Friday of Glorious Goodwood then. Battash 13-8 favourites here at the King George Qatar Stakes. Paul, just reiterate what beats him in your opinion?
I'm very hopeful for Art Power.
Art Power it is, who is a 6-1 shot. And Tom?
I'm tossing up between Art Power and Dragon Symbol. At the price is probably Art Power, actually.
Okay, well, if you two are going for Art Power, I will go with Dragon Symbol then for the King George. And Simon?
Battash, all the way. He's going to win, despite Jim Crowley's lukewarm confidence.
There we go. That's the first 3 in the betting covered then. So, it is a really open race though. So there are plenty of others. John Quinn, of course, had a good week, and he's got a chance with a couple as well. So good luck if you are playing in that 5 furlong Group 2. You've still got 3 races to come at Goodwood. Got a couple of handicaps at the back end, but one more group race for you here. It is, of course, the Glorious Stakes, Group 3 over a mile and a half. And like all of these Group 2, Group 3 and listed races over this distance, it is a fairly mixed bunch. But Mogul is once again heading the betting at 5-2. Passion and Glory 4-1. Yukon Glen 9-2. 15-2 Outbox. Alunak and Eagles by Day 10-1. Pablo Escobar 11s and Without a Fight also 11-1 here. 9 of them run. The only one we haven't mentioned there is Fox Tal, who's the outsider of the bunch. So Mogul is a funny horse, Tom. I get the feeling that not many people would attest to him being their favourite or even being one they've backed too often. But he has won 2 Group 1 races, of course, and he was a winner on this card last year. So depending on which Mogul turns up, he's the best horse in the race at the very least.
Officially he's definitely the best horse in the race. He's not a horse I could ever go anywhere near. I thought he was horrendous at Epsom. Now, the ground was very soft that day, and he didn't run too badly the time before in France, did he, behind near Australis or whatever it was called in the Group 1 there, the Gannet. But he's not a horse I could ever have much faith in. The Aidan O'Brien horses this week, I think, have been running really moderately, if truth be told. I thought the 2 fillies today didn't really do much. That Joan of Arc had everything go in her favour, and she didn't do anything off the bridle. No, he's not for me. I definitely want to take him on. Especially if there's rain. If there's rain, I don't fancy him at all.
In fact, the only Aidan O'Brien winner in the past 7 days, Tom, finished second and got the race because the wrong horse beat it. So that's how the yard are going.
Yeah, he got Jess Garrington ran the wrong one, didn't she? She ran the 4-year-old or whatever it was in the race over there. Yeah, so I don't know. They haven't been very well bagged. Sir Lucan ran fine, didn't he? To be fair. To be fair, Sir Lucan ran fine. So I don't think it's, we've had this with Aidan so many times, where we think they're out of form and then they go bang, bang, bang. But Mogul's not a horse I like. I want to take him on.
Okay, well, don't keep us in suspense, Tom. What is the pick?
I was trying to avoid giving a selection, but I thought Passion and Glory was my first idea of the one after his really impressive win at Ascot last time in the handicap. But was expecting him to be double the price he was, really. That was only a handicap, and while he's clearly better than that, I was expecting him to be a bigger price than he was. So I went off him, and I ended up on an old friend of mine called Eagles by Day, who's trained by David O'Mara of Hortsadar and Shaleer and Roscollin fame. I'm a big fan of this horse. I think the key to him is they've been running him over way too far. They've got sucked into thinking that his damn Miss United, who won the Galway Hurdle and the Ascot Stakes and all those sort of races and all those big staying races, that he's a stayer. I don't think he is. I think 1.5 miles perfect for him. Doesn't probably want too much rain, but Miss United won the Galway Hurdle that was run just a few minutes ago in heavy ground. So I'm not too worried about if there's lots of rain. And he's gone well fresh in the past too. He finished in front of loads of these. He beat Yukon Glen in the Goodwood Cup last year. He beat Pablo Escobar in the King Edward Stakes as a 3-year-old. I just think he's a good horse that is underrated. And if he's ready, because I know he's got the Ebor in mind, but that's only 3 weeks away. He's not going to be half fit, is he, with the Ebor 3 weeks ago or whatever it is. I thought he was going to go well. I like Eagles by Day. He's a horse that I like. I would be very scared if there was lots of rain, and then a horse like Alunak come very much into it after his impressive win at Haydock the other day.
Okay, the Glorious Stakes then, Tom Segal maybe taking a chance there with Eagles by Day, a 10-1 shot. Paul Kealy, Mogul, surely a horse that you're going to take on here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's got the profile of horse that's gone at the game, hasn't he? As simple as that, really. I mean, he looked like a superstar at Chartin, but he's run worse ever since. I thought that pre-Gannet was rubbish. It was a rubbish bit of form anyway. You know what I mean? But he's not.
This isn't a great race.
No, it's not. But Mogul doesn't. Mogul's run a stinker last time. He doesn't want any rain, which we're going to get. So no, I can't have him at all. I love Yukon Glen. I'd love to see him win, and I think he can win. But I just thought value in the race was Pablo Escobar. Blinker's first time, course specialist, form figures 2-1-1 at the track. Won the race last year on good to firm ground, but does handle ease in the ground. He wasn't a mile behind Alunak, just over 5 lengths behind him last time at Haydock. £4 better off for it, so there isn't going to be that much between them. And he likes this track, as we know. William Haggis has booked William Buick. Nobody rides the course better. So I just think he's got a fair each way shout.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he looked a huge price here. I thought it was a really good each way bet. I didn't think it was too much of a race, but the rain as well. He's run a couple of really good races. He was runner up to Lord North in a good race.
That's right, Lord North, yeah, and Anthony Van Dyke in the Lingfield Derby trial. If you go back far enough, yeah. So I think he's ground versatile. I don't think there's any problem whatever happens to the ground with him. And he likes the track. He's got the best, he's got the best jockey around. Yep. Certainly at Goodwood, possibly in the country.
We've seen all week that course form is absolutely vital, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he handles it well. Yeah, I think he's a fair each way bet as well.
Okay, Pablo Escobar 11-1 then. Social comments coming in. Frizzy Red says Mogul bolts up, lads. Wait till you see him in the paddock. Be a much leaner horse since last time. Don't take him on. He's better than this slot. I mean, I do agree with that. And I mean, especially at Maiden earlier on in the season, he looked like he was in foal. He was that big. It was remarkable. So he's clearly a horse. If you look at his profile, it does take a few runs to get fit. So Frizzy, I'm certainly with you on that. Mogul 5-2 then. So let's wrap this race up. Got a couple of races to come to finalise that Friday card. But Simon, tell us a little bit about this Glorious Stakes from a bookie's perspective.
Well, I think Mogul makes the race. I mean, a 5-2 favourite in a Group 3 who won in Chartin and was ran a big race in the Breeze Cup turf. So like the chap who just tweeted in, there'll be people who are willing to back him just on that kind of form. But it's quite interesting. In the last 10 years, 5 favourites won this race, and the biggest price in 10 years has been 7.5-1. Yet it looks the sort of race worth having a crack at big prices like the guys are doing. Passion and Glory of the front 3 is by far the best bet. We're still 4-1, but it's shortening up everywhere. And clearly he looks the most progressive, you'd argue, of the front few in the betting. I like Paul. I'd love to see Yukon Glen win, of course, because he won the Coral Brigadier Gerard Stakes, another piece of Coral-sponsored collateral form brought to this race. So I think he'd be the one I'll be cheering on, because if the rain comes, the ground will come right for him. It could be right up his street.
Okay, with your angles tonight, Simon, anyone think you work for Coral? But anyway, that's the 4-10 at Goodwood, then the Glorious Stakes. Mogul 5-2 favourite, but we are taking him on Eagles by Day for Tom and Pablo Escobar for Paul and myself there. Last couple of races then are competitive handicaps, but let's rattle through them with our selections here. Starting off with the 6 furlong at Nursery, the 4:45 at Goodwood. I am leaving this well alone. It's 4-1 a Deb, 5-1 Catch Cunningham, 6 6-1 Tropez Power, 13-2 Jadlon and Ever Given, 8-1 Sir Henry Cotton, 9-1 Rob John and Maybury, and bigger prices the rest. Keep going to Tom for the juvenile races first, but I'm going to come to Paul.
It's a horrible nursery. That it was one race I thought in the car. This is the one that's most impossible.
When you can give us a
I'm going to have a go. Yes. Eyes were drawn to William Buick on Maybury for William Jarvis, who's obviously had a great day today with Lady Bowthorpe. Show promise every start over 6 furlongs. Clipped heels last time behind Robasta, who ran well but not well enough for you today. I think he'll go well. He shapes very much as though another furlong will suit, so that would do for me.
Okay, so that's Maybury at a 9-1 shot here for this nursery. Tom, again, short and sweet. What wins the 4:45?
I will back 2. The top one, Jadlan, if the rain... Well, I won't back 2. I might back 2. If the rain stays away, I'll back Jadlan. The top one, I think he's quite classy. The other one is Adeb for Richard Fahy and Paul Hannigan. I hope they get a change of luck after a perfect earlier today.
Okay, there you go. A couple there for this nursery. Simon, any extra places, anything to mention before we move on to the finale?
We're betting 4 places on this. Adeb has been well backed, was 6-1 about an hour or so ago, now down to 4-1. And Jadlan, Jim Crowley did sort of say he really fancies him to run a big race if the ground is on the, just keeps drying out. Obviously, rain's going to be critical. I mean, his form, he ran in the Group 2 July Stakes last time. It was only beaten 5 lengths or so by the winner. Finished 8th, wasn't far behind Ebro River and Asymmetric. And so off that mark, you'd sort of say he'd be quite competitive. I just worry the rain might come, and Jim did seem to suggest that he wouldn't want it too soft.
Okay, that is the nursery at Goodwood then, and Jadlon, yes, could potentially be a group class horse at the back end of the season on fast ground, but does not want the rain, and it's a 13-2 shot there for the 4:45. Last race of the day at Goodwood on Friday is a 3-year-old handicap here, and it's a bit of a cracker. 3-year-olds up to 0-90 for this mile and 3 furlong race, and again with the rain coming, this is going to test a few of these, but it is a good little race. Wink of an Eye is likely to be the favourite on our screen when it comes up, but it hasn't yet. So before we get prices, look at that, perfect timing. Boys in the gallery there, just taking a break. Wink of an Eye, 11-4, Ziggy 11-2, Marching Army 7-1, Barnell 15-2 with Bill Pato, 17-2 Scampy, 10-1 Something Enticing, and 12-1 Bar Those. We were talking about this race off air, Paul, and you said there was a horse in this that was an absolute certainty.
Good thing, yeah. Conspiracy theorist.
Right, okay.
Bill Pato is, I think, absolutely crying out for a step up in trip. I thought he's shown real promise every time he's run, staying on strong. He's already run on heavy ground, showed real promise first time out with Holly Doyle up, won next time at Kempton, second running on again last month at Chester. It's by acclamation the sprinter, but the German side of the pedigree is absolutely loaded with stamina. He definitely wants softish ground. He was taken out last week because of fast ground at Newmarket. And for the conspiracy theories out of you, the race is sponsored by the Thoroughbred Daily News Australia, and the horse is owned by Australian Bloodstock, the biggest syndicate in Australia. I don't know whether they've got anything to do with Australian Daily News, but just if you like that sort of thing. But no, I actually do think the horse is could be very well treated.
Okay, form and conspiracy theories colliding then in the finale at Goodwood, and Bill Pater is a 15-2 shot here. I really like Ziggy here. I've gone for a 2-year-old handicap, so 3-year-old handicaps, but this horse caught the eye in every single one of his novice runs. The Eustace team have started pretty well since switching from James to Harry, and this horse absolutely bolted up at Nottingham, came from God knows where to win. The form's already worked out, a couple of winners out of it, and the second runs at Newmarket as well tomorrow night, so cheeky double might well work, but I do think Ziggy is still a very well handicapped horse. So that's a couple, Bill Pato and Ziggy then in the 5:20 at Goodwood. Tom, send us out with a winner.
This Bill Pato, I've just looked him up on Wikipedia. He's got a tremendous moustache, and he's nothing to do with... He was born in England and died in Canada. So what he's got to do with Australia, I have no idea. But they've named him after him anyway. I like Ziggy too. I thought stepping up in trip, his dam brushing won a listed race over 1.5 miles. She likes soft ground. I think an extra furlong will suit Ziggy very well, and I think I agree with you, Ross. Yeah, I think he'll run well.
Okay, I think it's the first time this week we have agreed, Tom, so we'll see how that works out. Simon, tell us about this final race before we depart for Pastures New. Wink of an Eye, 11-4 favourite here.
Yeah, he's been really well backed. I mean, it's 4 places we're paying each way. He was 4-1 when I was looking at this race about an hour and a half ago. He's been smashed into really down to 11-4. He won at Sandown on Coral Eclipse Day, the Coral Backing Prostate Cancer UK Handicap. I'll have you know, he's obviously got to give something enticing a good bit more weight. Something enticing. Seen his backside twice. I'm not sure he's going to get past him tomorrow. I think he looks very solid, looks progressive, but can't be taken on a horse at that sort of price. And Bill Pato's actually on the drift out to 7-1 from 6-1. So you can get some value there. There has been a bit of money for Ziggy, who's currently second favourite at 11-2. So good competitive race to see us out. Winkham and I have been well backed. I could see him, that Coral sponsored race form, Ross, good. I think he could win.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it's odds on shot landed there with Good and I then 11-4. It's on the betting for
He was quite
Haggis.
impressive there at Sandown, actually, wasn't he? Because he looked in trouble half a mile out, and then in the 2 furlongs out, he's suddenly in front. He
was at Newmarket as well, where I thought they quickened, and I thought, this is a good run in 4th, and came from nowhere. So, the front 2 could be very progressive indeed for the finale at Goodwood tomorrow then. So that's 7 races for the penultimate day of Glorious at Goodwood, ending on that mile and a half 3-year-olds at Handicap. And hopefully we'll get some impressive winners and more form lines to shout about as the season goes on. And hopefully we'll have some winning naps as well. So before we go, best bets on Friday. Paul Kealy.
Well, I'm going to take you 2 on with your Ziggy. I'm going to go Bill Pato in the last.
All right, okay. And I'll take your Bill Pato on with Ziggy in the last as my nap. So, Tom, hopefully you have a fancy in another race?
Yeah, well, I was going to go for Ziggy just to be boring, but I won't. I thought Path of Thunder had a very good chance, but I think the price has gone on him now. So I'll take a chance on calling the wind in the opening race. I'm expecting him to miss the break by 50 lengths or get brought down or something. That normally happens, but I think he's got a really good chance calling the wind.
Okay, a bit of optimism there from Tom again in that tricky opener. And Simon, your day 4 nap.
God, it's tricky, isn't it? I was going to go for Jadlown, but then Paul told me about the weather forecast. I tell you what, I'm going to go Just Hugh. I'm going to take on Tom. Just Hubert, the horse that he can't back. I'm going to nap in the first. Same mark pretty much as last year. Willie Muir's a shrewdy. I think he'll go well again.
Okay, so it looks like cross doubles then with the nap in the 2-mile 4-furlong opener and that 3-year-old handicap to close out the card. Thank you again for joining us. Again, if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the stream and also sign up to the Members Club as well. We're giving you a little bit of a discount on that if you use the code in the know. So that's what we've got for you with one more show to go. We'll be back tomorrow night for much more besides. Again, don't forget, please gamble responsibly. And please join us tomorrow for a preview of the final day, where we will absolutely guarantee the first 3 home in the Stewards' Cup. Thank you to Paul, Tom and Simon. Have a good night.